Bulletcast for life.
Welcome everybody to episode 23.5 of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon, and yes, I did the original episode on Tuesday. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. But if you have listened to it, you would know that I did the podcast right before Smackdown. I went to go do my predictions for NXT and Survivor Series. My NXT predictions still stand. I watched the latest episode of NXT. Decent show. Nothing really happened. Just some matches and a lot of video packages hyping up the matches. Undisputed Era are going to be the team with the advantage in the War Games. So after the first two men, the Undisputed Era will always get the advantage, which should have come to no surprise to anyone who knows the history of War Games, because the heels always get the advantage in War Games. But moving on to SmackDown, I did my predictions before SmackDown thinking nothing's going to happen. They've done everything. Unfortunately, I did not go on the internet, because when I first started to record, there was the story up that Becky Lynch might have been pulled from Survivor Series, so then that's when I put my little post-edit in there. And unfortunately, there have been one unfortunate change, another just huge change that I did not foresee coming, that we will get into right now. So first off, we have Becky Lynch having to be pulled from Survivor Series, and she ended up choosing Charolette on SmackDown, and so Charolette will face Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series. I love Becky Lynch, but it's very sad. I don't want her to be hurt. I don't want her to get concussion. I know a lot of heat's been put on Nia Jax. I'm not going to sit here and just, throw Nia Jax under the bus and just say she needs to go back to developmental. It's wrestling. Things happen. I think I definitely feel like she was too reckless in there. It's not even a battle royal, it's one of those brawls where everything's going on, and it wasn't even something that people were even looking at, because if you go back to the original Raw feed, you don't actually see Nia Jax deck Becky Lynch. You kind of see Becky fall down a little bit. You kind of see her with Nia, she falls down, and then that's when she gets up and she has her bloody nose. And I just don't understand why Nia would do just a wild punch like that. I could see maybe throwing a forearm or something, but just like a straight hook right to someone's face, I don't understand why you would do that. And just punching without even looking and not realizing how close someone is, and maybe just going a little bit low, and even just doing like a forearm to the chest, that would be a much better than just a cold cock right in the face, especially when it's Becky Lynch, the person who, by all accounts, it sounded like this match was going to main event Survivor Series, and now has to be taken off the show completely. And it's sad that Becky Lynch is off the show. You never want to have an injury. You never want to have a concussion, especially because those things can come back, and you don't exactly know what can happen. We're still learning the effects of concussions and the brain. Some people can take a few concussions and they're perfectly fine. Some people have one concussion and it changes the rest of their life. We don't know. But I do feel like this can be a good thing for Becky Lynch. She got the rub. She got super over from this build and this feud with Ronda Rousey. And yet she doesn't have to lose to Ronda. I would have thought, I know I predicted that it was going to be a no contest, thinking that that's the smart thing to do. What I felt they should have done, but if it was to come down to somebody has to go over clean, somebody has to win this match, I would have picked Ronda to win, just because they're keeping Ronda strong for that eventual match that we're getting here, which is the match we thought was going to main event WrestleMania, Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. But now it looks like the match that's going to main event WrestleMania is going to be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, and that makes a ton of sense with the Triple H injury out, so no Triple H Batista match, the Roman Reigns situation with him not going to be at WrestleMania. So it's kind of a little bit by default WrestleMania main event, but it's still a very big match, and hopefully that is what happens. We don't know exactly to the extent of her injury. If it was me, I don't want to strip her of the title, but if you think about it, if she does have to get the title stripped, Charlotte ends up winning the championship for Becky. Becky comes back in 2 months for the Royal Rumble. She ends up winning the Royal Rumble, and then the whole build is just her, picking who she wants, and then she ends up picking Ronda Rousey. That's just going to be a great story leading into WrestleMania. And this feud was so hot. I was so ready to watch this match. I was excited to see what they were going to do. And now Becky Lynch isn't even on the card. I do feel like she will make an appearance, though. I think Becky is going to be on Survivor Series somehow, some way. Will she get involved in the Ronda Rousey-Charlotte match? Possibly. So I'm going to start getting into my predictions. I think when it comes down to the Ronda Rousey-Charlotte match, will it be the main event? Maybe. It might possibly still be the main event. It depends. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of the finish, because I feel for both of these two main matches, the Charlotte Ronda match, the Brock Lesnar Daniel Bryan match, which we will get into. Trust me, I have a whole lot of things to talk about that match. But when it comes down to the women's match, both of those matches, I feel like there shouldn't be a winner. I know I hate crap finishes, non-finishes, but for both of them, Charlotte took the loss from Becky. Ronda Rousey's undefeated. You want to keep her strong. So if it comes down to it, I think Ronda's going to win. But do we get a no contest, or do we get some sort of distraction or something going on? Becky Lynch, I think, needs to be at Survivor Series somehow, some way, just to get her on the show. And people saying that she's like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and there's a lot of similarities right now with Stone Cold hurting his neck at the SummerSlam with Owen Hart, so he couldn't wrestle, but he was still on TV almost every week just doing his shenanigans, getting himself over with his promos and everything else he was doing. And I think Becky Lynch can do the same exact thing. Is she gonna drive down the ramp in a Zamboni or a Guinness truck? I don't know. Probably not. But I think Becky has the character and the promo ability to carry herself every single week and to still be on TV so people don't forget about her, but still get herself over and get in different segments of, just making us not forget about Becky and just reminding us that she's there. No word yet about why or how long she will be out, so concussion, facial fractures, or whatever is going on with her face. She can be out for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, who knows at this point. TLC is about 4 weeks away, so will she be back in time for that? I hope so. I'm still up in the air if I'm going to be going to the TLC pay-per-view in San Jose next month. I might. I think it definitely depends on what the card is like. So, going down to it, my prediction for Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. I will go with Ronda Rousey getting the victory. Will Becky Lynch get involved? Possibly. I'm not going to be shocked if there's a no contest. But I will go with Ronda Rousey getting the victory, just because on 5 days' notice, Charlotte might. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the crowd is like. Back when the match first was announced for Becky and Ronda, I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be like 70-30, maybe 60-40 Becky. Maybe Ronda will be a little bit more favored because it is LA. Now, I think Becky was going to get cheered probably 80-20, maybe even 100%, who knows. But I think when it comes down to this, it's kind of similar to like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, I would guess. Like, Braun Strowman is kind of like Becky Lynch. She's like, the most over, everyone loves her. Brock Lesnar is Ronda Rousey in the situation. When Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns go against each other, Brock Lesnar gets cheered. But then when Brock Lesnar faces against Braun Strowman gets cheered. And I think Charlotte is kind of the Roman Reigns in the situation. I don't think the heat is as much as it was with Roman with Charlotte. I think it's more just they like Becky more, they don't like Charlotte. But when it comes down to the Charlotte Ronda Rousey match, I think I'm going to be cheering for Ronda Rousey. I don't know how everyone's going to feel because they kind of did something on Smackdown to where Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch is just full-blown turned face now. I don't think they're going to try to fight that at all. She definitely came across as a star on Raw. She came across as a babyface and a star on SmackDown, especially when they did the hug with Charlotte. I don't know why they didn't do Asuka instead of Charlotte. It felt like the crowd really wanted Asuka to be the one to get picked instead of Charlotte. And I think Asuka can take a loss more than Charlotte can take a loss, just because she just lost the feud with Becky Lynch. Asuka isn't doing anything at the moment. She hasn't done anything for a while now. You put her in this high-profile match against Ronda. It helps Asuka a little bit, but in the end, Ronda is going to end up beating Asuka. I don't know if they're just putting Charlotte in there because it's that's what their main event for WrestleMania was going to be, so they're just putting that out there as a suitable replacement, and they actually think they think Charlotte is going to beat Ronda. I don't know what the whole rationale is behind picking Charlotte over Asuka. I just think with so little first time ever matches that you have, especially like what's going on with Brock and Bryan right now, you have so few first time ever matches that when you just throw two of them out there on the same exact card in 5 days, I think it diminishes it a little bit. You don't get the exact same feel. Like that Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch match, first time ever, they had 3 weeks to a month to build it, and it's been growing every single week, and now you have this match, especially with Charlotte, with the two matches that just got flipped on Smackdown. There's no promos, there's no angles that have really cemented why we want to watch this match, why this is a really big deal. It's just, okay, things happen, things are getting flipped around, and now here you go. We have Charlotte and Ronda, and we have Brock and Bryan. So I think Ronda will win. Now over to Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. I don't understand. So, okay, in the broad picture, Daniel Bryan turning heel, I'm not against. I know I'm like the number one Daniel Bryan fan. I love Daniel Bryan. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But he was honestly getting stale. The yes chance just wasn't, it didn't feel as authentic and as over as he used to. It was just kind of him going through the motions. And it seems like there's reports out there that Bryan is the one who wanted to do this heel turn. And if that's true, good for him. If you remember the reason why Daniel Bryan got over so much to begin with the whole yes chance and everything, he was a heel. He was a heel against Sheamus at WrestleMania 28, and he got super over from that, and then he just blossomed into the whole no thing and the yes thing, and he just went over and got hot, the whole Team Hell No. So if Daniel Bryan turns heel, you can equate it to maybe Becky Lynch of just what happened a couple months ago. People love Becky Lynch, people love Daniel Bryan, you turn him heel. Are they going to boo Daniel? I think Daniel has an uphill battle to climb in terms of getting people to boo him, but facing him off against AJ Styles is a very good first opponent for Daniel Bryan, because AJ Styles is honestly more popular than Daniel Bryan is at the very moment. And if you put AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan against each other, I think that's a good way to get Daniel Bryan over as a heel and have a babyface against Daniel Bryan to have him cheered against. But then when you go down the line, I think if you have Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio, I think that could be a great face-heel matchup where people are going to cheer Rey Mysterio over Bryan. Jeff Hardy, that's a little bit more of a different thing. Jeff Hardy has his diehard fans. People love Daniel Bryan. People love Jeff Hardy, but I feel like Daniel Bryan is more of a fan favorite. I think if like a trade between Daniel Bryan and Finn Balor, just having them switch brands, having Finn, or even just trying to get Finn over to SmackDown would be fun. Maybe trade somebody else over or trade Finn over to SmackDown, trade someone for SmackDown over to Raw. I think that could be fun to see a Finn versus Daniel Bryan feud. This is the thing. So the Daniel Bryan heel turn I'm not against, but just I don't understand why you have Daniel Bryan turn heel against AJ Styles to win the championship. And now Daniel Bryan's going to face Brock Lesnar 5 days after. And now you have two heels go up against each other. Daniel Bryan is going to be cheered against Brock Lesnar. I guarantee you that. Daniel Bryan is over with the hardcores. It's Survivor Series. It's not like it's a whole weekend thing now. There's NXT, there's Survivor Series, there's Raw and SmackDown, all taking place in LA. I'm only going to the weekend stuff, but there's probably going to be people traveling from maybe at least the West Coast area to Survivor Series, so a lot of hardcore fans are going to be there. People are definitely going to be cheering for Daniel Bryan over Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is a star, but I think the wrestling fans love Daniel Bryan more. So that's why I don't understand why you turn Daniel Bryan, one of the most beloved figures, going up against like the Goliath of Goliath in Brock Lesnar and expect. I don't even know what they're expecting. What do they expect Daniel Bryan just to get cheered and like, okay, that's what's going to happen. He's going to get cheered. We're going to do our thing at Survivor Series, but then after that, he's going to be heel. I think the Becky Lynch thing does kind of throw a monkey wrench in this whole scenario. Since the Becky Lynch Ronda Rousey match was going to main event, possibly Vince was like, oh, well, there's reports that Vince wanted to take the title off of AJ and put it on to Bryan to begin with to get this whole, because he didn't want to have another rematch from last year. But with AJ losing the title, that just completely throws the whole CM Punk title reign being broken out the window, which I guess that shows WWE isn't as petty as we think they are, I guess, or they just forgot about it and were like, oh, fuck. This whole thing was to have AJ beat CM Punk's record, and we just completely messed that up, so now we have to wait another year and a half for someone to break CM Punk's record, but whatever. So when it comes down to this match, it's going to be interesting to see how it comes across, how the match is laid out. Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar was originally supposed to be the match that was supposed to take place at SummerSlam 2014, which was the last time I was at the Staples Center. I was hoping that Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar was going to take place at WrestleMania 31, which I was at, but it did not. That was the first one with Roman and Brock. That was the one where Daniel Bryan was supposed to come in and win the Royal Rumble, and then he lost. And then he challenged Roman Reigns, and then he lost. So this is finally like the dream match we've all been waiting for, and yet they give this on 5 days notice. It's gonna be fun. I'm still kind of torn on how I feel about this card. I still feel I'm more excited for the NXT pay-per-view. I'm a little skeptical on how my seats are gonna look with the whole 2 rings and everything like that, but for the Survivor Series show, just regular lower bowl seating. Have a nice clear view of the ring. Only one ring, so it's a lot easier to focus on the action in the ring. I don't know about this card overall. It should be a good card. I did not give my prediction for Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan. I'm kind of all over the place. This is kind of thrown me for a loop. I kind of would have expected the Becky Lynch thing to happen, but Daniel Bryan winning against AJ Styles, I did not expect that to happen. Not only did he win, he turned heel, which is I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Daniel Bryan was a phenomenal heel, WWE, ROH, on the indie scene, wherever he went. So Daniel Bryan is definitely a smart guy, and he knows how to. He's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, heel or babyface, and I think it's going to be fun. And eventually, this will turn him babyface, maybe within the next year or two, and Daniel Bryan will get hot again. So that's kind of a silver lining for all the Daniel Bryan fans out there, just being like, oh man, they turned him heel. But with him turning heel, I think this is a good thing for him. He can evolve his character, and he doesn't have to go back on the yes chance. Yes, we had the yes chance 4 years ago, or whatever. Was like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and now it's let's be honest, the yes chance have kind of gotten old, and it's just kind of something Daniel Bryan would do because that's what he was associated with. Did he really like to do them? I don't know, but now that he's not a babyface anymore, I think we're not going to see any more yes chance. And we're going to see how Daniel Bryan's character evolves. Maybe he shaves his head. Maybe he just goes back to ROH Daniel Bryan, where he was bald and didn't have any facial hair. He looked like a babyface in the traditional sense of the term. But when it comes down to this match, does AJ Styles get that's another thing, is why is AJ not even on the card? When it came down to the Survivor Series tag match, why couldn't it just be the winner faces Brock and the loser is on the Survivor Series team? That was one of the things that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm wondering, is AJ hurt? Does he need time off? Is he suspended? What's going on with AJ? I haven't heard anything yet. It's already Thursday. You would think something would have came out about something going on with AJ Styles. So I think AJ is going to get involved somehow, and I think this will end in a non-finish. So I will go with Ronda Rousey beating Charlotte and I'm switching my no contest from the women's match to the men's match. I think this will be a no contest. Something is going to happen to where a schmoz happens. But if you pin me down and pick somebody, I think it's going to be Brock Lesnar, to be honest, because that's just how they book. But my official prediction is it'll be a no contest in this match. If this is a no contest, how I predict, I think the main event will be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. The best match of the card, maybe Charlotte and Ronda. It's going to be really interesting to see how they pull that off. I've kind of been critical of Charlotte in the past, thinking she's not the best wrestler in the world, which we all know is Shane McMahon, but you know what I mean, like the best worker. I think Becky's better, Bayley's better, Sasha, Asuka. I think Charlotte just isn't as good as all those other wrestlers. I think she's just kind of that next tier down. And with Ronda's a completely different animal. She's not going to have a traditional wrestling match, so that might help them in their favor. But she had a really good match with Nikki. It wasn't better than the Charlotte-Becky match by any means, but it's going to be fun to see that dynamic between Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. Everyone thought this was going to be the main event of WrestleMania next year, and now we're getting this on 5 days' notice. So that'll do it for me for today. All my other predictions, you can go check them out on the Under the Radar episode I did on Tuesday before this whole card went up in flames. So if you haven't listened to it, you can listen to the first 30 minutes of it, and then I start talking about matches that aren't even going to happen. But something I will mention again is that I will be going to Survivor Series, and I will be with my co-host of Curveballs and Chairshots, Dominic. We will be doing our regularly scheduled episode on Friday on the road to LA, as well as doing some other random podcasts. Maybe we'll do some single topic podcasts we'll throw out there. Maybe we'll save them in the can and put them up whenever we feel like it. But we will be doing post shows for NXT and Survivor Series. There might be a little bit of alcohol consumption, so it might be a little talking shop feel where it's going to be all over the place, and it might get ugly, but stick with us. I'm pretty sure that the NXT Instant Analysis will be simulcast on the Bulletcast feed, because I have done the NXT TakeOver post shows the last, 2 or 3 times, so we're going to be doing you're going to get the live perspective of War Games and Survivor Series, how the show went, any stories you didn't see, a Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno, the match I've been wanting to see in NXT. It will take place at Staples Center, but not on War Games. It'll be on the TV taping, so it'll be happening next week. That'll be fun to see. So that'll do it for me for today. A little shorter episode, but I was only 2 topics, and I went on for 20-some minutes. So that's just how I'll roll. Thank you guys very much for listening. If you haven't, go back and listen to the OG, the actual episode of the Bulletcast where Philip goes over his predictions for Survivor Series. The title will be on the line for both NXT and Survivor Series, so you can compare and contrast my picks to his picks. Who did him better? I don't even know what his picks are, so I'm going in blind. So I'm going to get a congratulatory text or something on Instagram, or I'm just going to see a picture on Instagram with Philip with the championship. Who knows at this point? So thank you guys very much for listening. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Thanksgiving. I will be back next week on Tuesday to give my full trip review or whatever. I don't know what I'm even going to do for that episode. Since I've already watched NXT, I can still give you the Total Divas recap that you guys all know and love. So, goodbye and good night. Ben.